Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about a dumbbell swing. This is exactly the same as a kettlebell swing. Obviously using a kettlebell is better. It's got a much better grip, it's weighted much better specifically for the swing. But a lot of people just simply don't have kettlebells at home, but a lot of people do have dumbbells, and if you're doing my online program, you will have been working with dumbbells for quite a while. So I want to give you this variation so that you can learn the technique and incorporate a different back and bum exercise into your routine without buying another relatively expensive piece of equipment. If you do have a kettlebell, check out my tutorial for a kettlebell swing. I'll put that in the description below. Otherwise, give it a go with this dumbbell instead. So, really important thing about kettlebell swings, dumbbell swings, is that it's the same technique or very similar technique to a Romanian deadlift. So you want to make sure you know that technique really well first. If you're doing my online program, then you will know it, you'll know it really, really well by this stage. So we're doing a Romanian deadlift technique, okay? So bum back towards the back wall, big hip hinge, and not too much movement on the knees coming forward. However, you're going to have your feet squat width apart. That's because you're going to swing the kettlebell or dumbbell between your legs. Okay, you also want to make sure that you're using a weight that is lower than what you're doing for the Romanian deadlift. That's because if this is a 7 kilo dumbbell, for example, if I'm doing 7 kilos in a Romanian deadlift, I'm controlling the weight all the way down. Whereas in a swing, you think that 7 kilos is traveling fast, it's got some momentum behind it, and so by the time it gets to the end of the movement, it's actually much heavier than 7 kilos. So you want to be using a smaller weight than what you're doing in the Romanian deadlift, at least to learn the movement, okay? Both exercises, the main point of both exercises is they are an anti-flexion movement. So when I'm doing a Romanian deadlift, my back, the gravity and the weight is pulling me into spinal flexion, and I'm having to work hard with my back to keep my back straight. And the same is true when I'm swinging a kettlebell or dumbbell back. The weight is, the resistance is going this way, and it's pulling me into spinal flexion, and I have to keep my back straight against that. But there's a lot of force going in this direction when I'm doing a kettlebell swing. So it's a lot, like I said before, it's a lot harder on your back muscles than doing the same weight in a Romanian deadlift. Okay, so feet squat width apart, dumbbell in front of us. There's two parts to this technique. You want to start with the swing back. So I'm going to hold onto the dumbbell like this. So my hands either side of it, like this, in front of me. Notice how my back's nice and straight. And then all I'm going to do is practice swinging it back. So I'm pulling it back with my hands, swinging it back between my legs, and then putting it back. The grip can be a little bit awkward. That's why it's better with a kettlebell. But whatever, if this is what you've got, then we're going to work with it. So swinging back between the legs and then putting it back in the same spot. And my back doesn't move. I'm not rounding my back when I do it, okay? I'm practicing keeping that back completely straight and not actually bending my hips at all or my knees. Okay, just swinging back with my hands, putting it back. Okay, that's our starting point. From there, once you've swung the kettlebell or the dumbbell back between your legs, you're obviously not going to put it back every time. You're going to thrust your hips forward and swing the kettlebell up. Okay, so swing it back between your legs and then thrust your hips forward, swinging the kettlebell forward. Okay, so I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I'm swinging it back and then thrusting my hips forward. Okay, so sending my hips back towards the back wall like I do with the Romanian deadlift, but not quite as far. And then just bending my knees a little bit, and then thrusting my hips forward into a standing position. My arms just holding onto the dumbbell, and the dumbbell swinging forward. Okay, few really common mistakes. First of all of the movement of the kettlebell going forward is coming from the hips thrusting forward. It's not coming from the arms. So if you're moving too slow in your hips, okay, you're going to have to lift it up with your arms. So that's a terrible way of doing this. Okay, it's a swing. So you're swinging it with your hips. You're pushing it forwards with your hips effectively. So it's a thrust. Okay, and I know that's like a funny looking movement, but you're pushing the kettlebell or dumbbell forward really, really quickly to get it moving through the air. Okay, so you're not lifting with your arms, and you need to actually move fast with the hips forward. You can't just dilly-dally around and just move like really slowly, because the kettlebell just won't have enough force behind it, and you'll have to use your arms instead. Another mistake people make is when they swing it up, they bend backwards. So they swing like this. There's no need to do that. Just stand up. Okay? Your finished position should be shoulders over the hips, standing up in a position like this. You don't have to swing back like that. Third big mistake is rounding the back. So people tend to do this as they swing back between their legs. Okay, you want to keep that spine nice and straight. Okay, we're stopping the spine from rounding against the resistance, the load moving in that direction, the vector, the whatever. The final mistake people make, the fourth mistake, is bending their knees too much and turning it into this butchered squat swing type thing. So they tend to do this. Okay? Now with a squat, the movement is going up and down, okay? I'm moving down and I'm pushing the floor away. With kettlebell swing or a dumbbell swing, the weight's going forward and back, okay? So you don't want to bend your knees and do this, because you won't be getting any movement into the kettlebell or dumbbell moving forward. You want to be thrusting the weight forward, okay? Not lifting it up, okay? Also, you'll end up with your quads on fire doing that. You'll just end up doing millions and millions of squats, and that's not the point of the exercise. The kettlebell focuses on all of the back muscles, but also the bum and the hamstrings. It's a great way of strengthening the back without adding more weight, because you might not have endless amounts of weight to do at home, but when you start swinging it, like I said, you're getting more load on the spine. You're preventing flexion against more load. It's also a great way of getting your heart rate up without impact, without jumping and running and all of that stuff. So that was a tutorial for a dumbbell swing. Again, I highly recommend that you learn the kettlebell swing and that you invest in a kettlebell. But if you don't have one, then this is also a great variation of it using the limited equipment that you have at home. That was a dumbbell swing.